6. The World Below. Part 1. He said, and wept, then spread his sails before the winds, and reach'd at length the Cumaean shore. Their anchors drop, his crew the vessels moor. They turn their heads to sea, their sterns to land, and greet with greedy joy the Italian strand. Some strike from clashing flints their fiery seed, some gather sticks the kindled flames to feed, or search for hollow trees and fell the woods, or trace through valleys the discovered floods. Thus, while their several charges they fulfill, the pious prince ascends the sacred hill, where Phoebus is adored, and seeks the shade which hides from sight his venerable maid. Deep in a cave the Sibyl makes abode, thence full of fate returns and of the god. Through Trivia's grove they walk, and now behold, and enter now the templed roof with gold. Where Daedalus, to fly the Cretan shore, his heavy limbs on jointed pinions bore, the first who sailed in air. 'Tis sung by fame. To the Cumaean coast at length he came, and here alighting built this costly frame. Inscribed to Phoebus, here he hung on high the steerage of his wings that cut the sky. Then o'er the lofty gate his art embossed Androgeos' death and offerings to his ghost. 7 youths from Athens yearly sent to meet the fate appointed by revengeful Crete. And next to those the dreadful urn was placed, in which the destined names by lots were cast. The mournful parents stand around in tears, and rising Crete against their shore appears. There too, in living sculpture might be seen the mad affection of the Cretan queen. Then how she cheats her bellowing lover's eye, the rushing leap, the doubtful progeny. The lower part a beast, a man above, the monument of their polluted love. Not far from thence he graved the wondrous maze, 1,000 doors, 1,000 winding ways. Here dwells the monster, hid from human view, not to be found but by the faithful clue. Till the kind artist, moved with pious grief, lent to the loving maid this last relief, and all those erring paths described so well, that Theseus conquered, and the monster fell. Here hapless Icarus had found his part, had not the father's grief restrained his art. He twice essayed to cast his son in gold, twice from his hands he dropped the forming mold. All this with wondering eyes Aeneas viewed, each varying object his delight renewed. Eager to read the rest, Achates came, and by his side the mad divining dame, the priestess of the god, Deiphobé her name. "Time suffers not," she said, "to feed your eyes with empty pleasures. Haste the sacrifice. 7 bullocks yet unyoke for Phoebus choose, and for Diana 7 unspotted ewes." This said, the servants urge the sacred rites, while to the temple she the prince invites. A spacious cave, within its farmost part, was hewed and fashioned by laborious art. Through the hill's hollow side before the place 100 doors, 100 entries grace. As many voices issue, and the sound of Sibyl's words as many times rebound. Now to the mouth they come, aloud she cries, "This is the time, enquire your destinies. He comes, behold the god!" Thus while she said, and shivering at this sacred entry stayed, her colour changed, her face was not the same, and hollow groans from her deep spirit came. Her hair stood up, convulsive rage possessed her trembling limbs, and heaved her labouring breast. Greater than humankind she seemed to look, and with an accent more than mortal spoke. Her staring eyes with sparkling fury roll, when all the gods came rushing on her soul. Swiftly she turned, and foaming as she spoke, "Why this delay?" she cried, "the powers invoke! Thy prayers alone can open this abode, else vain are my demands, and dumb the god." She said no more. The trembling Trojans hear, o'erspread with the damp sweat and holy fear. The prince himself, with awful dread possessed, his vows to great Apollo thus addressed: "Indulgent god, propitious pow'r to Troy, swift to relieve, unwilling to destroy, directed by whose hand the Dardan dart pierced the proud Grecians' only mortal part. Thus far, by fate's decrees and thy commands, Thro' ambient seas and thro' devouring sands Our exil'd crew has sought th' Ausonian ground; And now, at length, the flying coast is